If you are here, that means you are likely trying to emulate your students just a little bit and figure out how to use AI or those large language models like ChatGPT and see how they can be used to make your job even a little easier as a teacher. Before we begin, I want to say that this technology is a really dumb smart tool. What I mean by that is it's only as good as the user and their prompts. There are 4 basic rules when creating a prompt that I like to try to follow. So 1, use clear language. 2, define the purpose of the prompt. 3, include important context. And 4, provide examples when you can. It might not happen every time, but it'll help you out if you can. Today, I want to take you through a very quick tutorial on how to generate the bulk of a lesson plan using ChatGPT. Today I'm going to be using GPT 3.5, which is free through OpenAI once you make an account with them. Today's lesson plan is going to be for an 11th grade US history course, and we are going to be discussing how yellow journalism and the events leading up to the Spanish-American War all kind of culminated into one. First thing I would recommend is that you create a digital template of how you want your lesson plan to be formatted. As you can see here, I kind of just have a very standard layout: lesson title, grade, subject, standards being assessed, so on and so on. But there's a couple things I want to look at here, specifically your standards being assessed portion. The AI is going to fill this in for you whenever you finally plug this in. You need to get rid of whatever it gives you. It doesn't know your standards, and odds are almost 100% of the time, the standards it gives you are completely made up. They don't exist anywhere, and it knows the patterns. So whatever it gives you at the very end of this, delete these and make sure you put your own in there. The next portion that I kind of want to throw out there is I work on block schedules. So my class is actually about 85 minutes long, but as you notice, I only put 80. I like to have about a 5-minute buffer for whatever happens in a class. Maybe a discussion goes a little bit over. Maybe they pick up on something and really want to discuss it, or, the crazy happens. Who knows? Teaching's an adventure. So what I want to get back to really quick is going to be my rules. So the very first one, again, is use clear language. There's nothing really industry exclusive in my language that I'm being saying here, right? I'm not using summative assessment or formative assessment for the AI. That's stuff that we use every day, but at the same time, if I just say assignment, it works. So right here, rule 2, define the purpose. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my template here, and right above my template, I would recommend that you make all of your stuff in like a Google Doc like I'm doing, or in a Word doc if you're more comfortable with that. But this phrase right here, this is going to be my purpose that I'm going to be giving the AI. So I want to create a lesson plan using the following template. I put my little semicolon there, and here we go. This is what I wanted to fill out. For my time, I did put, again, 80 minutes. And then as you can see, I kind of broke up that time across the board. It does a decent job at creating content in each of these sections that'll fill that time frame. But just know it's not perfect, so you are going to have to make some adjustments. I want to now go down. So rules 3 and 4. Rules 3 were include important context. So in this case, the lesson is going to be on the Spanish-American War. I want to give background on yellow journalism, discussing those historical examples, as well as looking at some modern examples. So you ideally have your content ready to go. You just need the lesson plan. Or you go, hey, this is what I want, and you want to see what the AI is going to give you so you can kind of build around it. That's an option. I would suggest you have an idea and the materials that you're going to use ahead of time. Then we're going to be discussing the causes of the Spanish-American War, and I give it some specific context, like this is what we're going to discuss: the Cuban Revolt, yellow journalism, the Loam letter, sinking of the Maine, McKinley's war message, and the Teller Amendment. Those are the things that I want to focus on. And then I go down to 4. So rule 4 is providing those examples. Students will then receive 2 primary source documents. So document A, New York Journal excerpt titled "Destruction of the Warship Maine was the work of an enemy." And document B, New York Times excerpt, "Maine's whole will decide." So this is describing what my students are going to be doing. They're going to be taking these primary source documents, and then they're going to answer some guiding questions on the sources of the articles, conduct some close reading strategies to determine the purpose of each of those documents. And then finally, they're going to complete a matrix that is attached that I already have to the documents passed out to them, and will determine which account they found more believable. So I'm really kind of limiting what the AI is making here, because if I just say, hey, I want a lesson plan on this, and I just let it do its thing, the template's never going to be the same. It's going to give you a new lesson plan outline every time. And the content is going to be whatever it decides, which can be interesting. And that's a whole nother video whenever you're looking at like, let's brainstorm content and maybe like lesson ideas, stuff like that. That's a whole nother discussion. So this is just like, let's get this down today. So what I've done is I've already copied. So pretty much I got rid of the rules in parentheses here, but I pretty much just copied that entire lesson plan outline here. All right. And in fact, it's over here. This is exactly what I copied. And then I'm putting it right into my chat. So again, so you can see everything is the same. Now, I am going to be using GPT 3.5 again. This is the free version. GPT-4 definitely has a lot more capabilities. And then you can use these little things over here. I'll discuss plugins and like the different AIs in future videos. Another thing to keep in mind, I could plug this exact same text into this AI 10 times and I will get 10 different results. So I really have no clue what I'm about to get, but let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so it is done. All right, so let's kind of look at it and see what it gave us. So again, lesson title, Spanish-American War and Yellow Journalism. Standards being assessed. See, this one's different. Last time I plugged in something like this, it actually gave me like ELA standards 1.2.3.4, whatever it decided to give me. This one is actually like usable, but they're not actually my standards. I would have to go back and plug in like how this works. But overall, it has some pretty good ideas of what I need them to do in this immediate context. It did provide me with an essential question. So how did yellow journalism contribute to the causes and outcomes of the Spanish-American War? That's actually a really good approach, like overarching question for students to be able to kind of look at and answer. Materials. So again, I gave it the whiteboard projector, internet, computers, but then it plugged in based on what I said, those primary source documents, A and B. And then we've got, okay, so an anticipatory set, headlines, and this is exactly actually kind of what I have already. Whenever I gave this lesson, I gave those sensationalized headlines, and we really kind of just had a discussion on them. What's the purpose? What kind of an effect would this have on people? And again, instruction, all these things over here. So now what you're going to do is you're really going to need to go through and say like, okay, is this actually what I'm doing? Yes, I distributed those documents and I gave those instructions, encouraging students to use close reading strategies. Again, this is on the doc. And then over here, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. And then over here, conduct that brief class discussion. Yeah, maybe do like a exit ticket strategy kind of a thing. Like what's something you learned? What's something you want to know more about? What's something you're still confused on? Like you can even give in that closure, like you can give whatever your closing activity is, put that template in here. Like, hey, I'm going to have them do what are those like exit ticket strategies that you might have. Then assessment. Again, this is just what I'm doing, checks and boxes here, professional responsibility. This is a good reminder. I don't know if enough people reflect on how did that lesson go? What could be done better? What could have been removed? What could have been focused on a little bit more? This is just kind of that, like, it's in your face. It's an idea. And then what you could do is actually just erase this portion, and then you go back and you just fill in some notes like, oh, hey, I probably didn't need this portion here, so let me just take that out. And then reflecting on teaching, again, that's one of those things like, hey, this strategy worked out well, this strategy didn't work out well. How well did my students kind of do? And what could I have done better? Or hey, actually, this was fantastic. But it gives you those little places. So ideally, you have this going forward with you now, and you just modify every year depending on what's going on. For first-year teachers, this could be a really great way. I mean, I know my first year, it was a struggle coming up with new content. I didn't have a partner in my grade, and I was making everything every week, it felt like. And it was also during the pandemic, so that was super fun. Second year, a lot easier. I ended up moving up to high school, but I had that like foundation of, okay, I know what I still need to do. But that third year, it was like just coasting. I already had my content. I knew what I was going to do. And generally, I was just modifying what has already been done. For experienced teachers, you're listening to this and going like, yeah, no duh. But for first year teachers, like, hey, it gets better, and this can help it get better quicker. That's what I like to think. I plan on doing a lot more videos on just how can this technology help us. So if you found this information helpful, please go ahead and subscribe, like, whatever you got to do on that front just to help this kind of work out and get this material and information out to others who it could help too. So have a great day, and thank you for watching.